Software engineering opportunities will increase up to 22% in the next 8 years. So you probably won't have to look too hard to find internship opportunities, but do you have what it takes to become a software engineering intern? Building a new software product is now incredibly easy, and tech companies keep producing new software every day. The production capability is immense, which means greater need for software developers and software engineers to maximize production for those companies. So tech companies look for competent software engineer interns to help get the job done. It means that there are more internship opportunities for software engineers more than ever. This leads us to a critical question, and most students will often ask: how do I land a software engineering internship? In this video, I'm going to give you 5 vital things to focus on if you want to land an internship as a software engineer. But first, let me tell you why internships are good for you as a software engineer. So why should you go for a software engineering internship? Internships are all about gaining experience and building your skill set in software development, testing, and deployment. When you work with an experienced engineer, you'll understand how software development works at an industrial level. At the same time, you can get a feel for what a corporate environment is like. As an intern, your responsibilities include coding, debugging, and trying new design elements. I'll talk about that later in this video. Before that, if you want to land a software engineering internship, you need to tick a couple of boxes. One being appealing presentation, comprehensive skill set, access to the right networking tools, making a good first impression, and the persistence to keep searching for new opportunities. So how can you use these 5 elements to land a software engineering internship? Tip number 1, get exposure to your employers. First up, you must present yourself to the employers, which means you need a software engineering portfolio. And how can you build that portfolio? Now, it's not always possible to get the best opportunities from your school or college competitions, so you need to look beyond. Hackathons, programming clubs, and collaborations on projects with other developers are some ways to expose yourself to the companies. Working with your peers will give you 2 benefits. Firstly, you will quietly build a network with people who can refer you to an internship or even a job down the road. Secondly, if you're good to work with, people will want to work with you, and this means you'll get put on more projects and build a more robust portfolio. So where do you maintain this portfolio? As a developer, it's almost criminal if you're not on GitHub. Every little project you do must appear on GitHub so you can share your code, track projects, and even contribute to more open source projects. This simply means you build your skill set and become a part of an online network of programmers. In short, you'll need to get more opportunities to establish your portfolio. Even better, recruiters look for and appreciate programmers who have a GitHub portfolio. Secondly, more coding means learning more tools. As you keep working on projects, you'll eventually learn new programming and development tools to build a more robust skill set. Which takes us to our next successful key element of an internship opportunity in building your skill set. Tip number 2 is building your skill set. As a software engineer, your skill set needs to be quite comprehensive. So what tools should you learn? Which ones are the most relevant for a software engineering internship? Answering these questions can be a challenge for students or fresh graduates. To make it easier for you, I'll break them down into 3 categories: coding, developing, and testing. First, in coding, it's essential to learn as many programming languages as possible. Stack Overflow suggests that Java, Python, C#, C++, or JavaScript are the most widely used programming languages. The good news is that you can learn most of these languages through online courses, and there are a lot of resources to help you out as well. Next, we have development. Secondly, get your hands dirty with software development. Yes, you must know how to design, test, and develop software according to users' requirements. Software development is slightly more complex than learning programming languages, so online tutorials will not completely do the job for you. What you must do as a student is pick coursework relevant to software development because it will also weigh more on your resume. Recruiters prefer students who have some academic backgrounds in software testing. At the same time, keep learning GitHub, labs, and training sessions. Besides expanding your portfolio, these extracurricular activities will be a good help to make an impression on recruiters. Lastly, software testing and debugging is an essential trait that you need to master. It's more about analytical thinking to forecast any possible disasters while running the software. This skill comes only with practice and experience. Doing so will build your comprehensive skills. The more you practice, the better. Testing is a critical feature in software development because it mitigates potential bugs. For tip number 3, we have using the right networking tools. Will having a technical profile on GitHub be enough? No. You will also need to interact with people and recruiters that you haven't come across yet. These are the networking tools you can use to land a software engineering internship. First, LinkedIn is the right option that can take you among the tech entrepreneurs and software companies. Building your LinkedIn network with professionals and other software engineers can open up doors to immense opportunities. This way, you'll maximize your chances of landing a software engineering internship. Besides LinkedIn, you can use other social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to showcase your talent. These platforms can also let you participate in discussions and present yourself to a larger audience who aren't necessarily technical people. Last but not least, join the alumni groups from your college and stay in touch with the seniors employed by tech companies to give yourself a better opportunity for an internship. Suppose the networking paid off and you've got the right internship opportunity. It's time to impress recruiters and interviewers. Which brings us to tip number 4, first impression counts. The first impression is not always about a good presentation at the interview, it's the build up to the interview. Then there are many elements that help you make a good first impression. First up, it's your resume. At this screening stage, many students fail because their resumes are not impressive enough. So what goes in making a good resume? Well, first, you want no fancy stuff. Visual presentation of your resume is vital. Before the recruiter even starts reading your resume, it must look simple, clear to understand document. So no fancy stuff or styling. Some companies use automated algorithms to evaluate resumes. For example, resumes with APA style formatting have a higher probability of landing an interview call. Next, update your resume. An updated resume is a must. It goes without saying that every time you post your resume, it must talk about your most recent projects. That means you constantly need to update your resume. An updated resume also means mentioning the most relevant skills necessary to the job you're applying to. In simple words, you can't send the same resume everywhere. Before you send it, be sure to check for details and listed skills. Don't mention things that you can't defend, otherwise it can be quite embarrassing during an interview. For example, if you've only started to learn Python, you can mention that on your resume you're at an introductory level. A good resume always has an objective, so recruiters can understand the future aims of the applicant. If your vision is well aligned with the company's aims, who knows, you might be able to land a job there too. Next, keep your resume precise. Lastly, try to keep your resume to one page. That's because recruiters don't spend time going deep into the details. Skip unnecessary personal details and highlight technical and professional skills relevant to the internship you're applying to. To summarize what a good resume looks like, here are the elements that you should have. An objective, an updated educational detail, mentioning of all your projects, using the right keywords, highlighting your skills, mentioning of any of your accomplishments, and giving a summary. Next, highlight your website. Your website or personal blog can play a significant role in making a good first impression. If you have one, mention its link in your resume. Make sure that it's updated. Once again, your website must appear professional and action-oriented. Remember that your resume should be precise, but your blog should be detailed. A personal website gives you the freedom to incorporate in-depth information about your projects and accomplishments. This way, you're already presenting yourself to the recruiter before getting into the interview seat itself. Lastly, prepare for the interview. For someone appearing in a professional interview for the first time, it can be quite intimidating. But if you're well prepared, the technical part of the interview shouldn't trouble you too much. Keep in mind, managers look for skills they have mentioned in the job requirements, and they know they're hiring an internee, not a professional. So there is no need to feel overwhelmed. That said, you should cover the basics. Make sure you tick these boxes while preparing. 1. Be prepared for all the questions related to your resume. 2. Have a good understanding of the role in the company. 3. Be prepared for a coding challenge. Of course, a good first impression also includes a visual presentation of yourself, so wear business casual or formal attire. Tip number 5. Keep growing and keep applying. When you're at the interview seat, it's all about talking from here. It's quite likely that you won't get the internship, but that's alright. It's not every time applicants win their first internship, so always keep your heads up. What's more important is keep applying for new opportunities and keep growing your skill set. Learn from every experience and mistake to avoid them in the future. Eventually, you should be able to land a suitable software engineering internship for yourself. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and would like similar content in the future. See you in the next one.